friends, today we are going to discuss about the human anatomy and physiology chapter respiratory system. Mainly we are going to discuss MCQ type question. Before going to discuss MCQ question, we should know about the respiratory notes. What are the important question comes in every year? So first we'll go through detail of our notes, then we'll discuss one by one question. So let us discuss first definition of respiratory system. So the respiratory system is the set of organs that allow a person to breathe, in which oxygen and carbon dioxide are exchanged or gaseous exchange process. Question comes, how the gaseous, name the gaseous exchange process. So mainly respiratory system, or oxygen and carbon dioxide are exchanged throughout the body. So one question comes from the definition part, how the gaseous are exchanged or the exchange process is known as respiratory system. Then second question comes from parts. What are the different parts involved in respiratory system, like upper parts, nose and pharynx. Similarly, lower parts, larynx, trachea, bronchi, bronchioles, alveoli. So another question may comes from the parts. What are the parts involved in upper respiratory system? What are the parts involved in lower respiratory system? Then another question comes from the external portion of the nose, like external portion of the nose is framework of bone. So what are the bone involved, like frontal bone, nasal bone, maxilla bone. Then the opening is called nostril. Ko bone achi nakore external portion of the nose re. Tenu frontal bone, nasal bone, maxilla bone केमती इन्वॉल्व अछि, इंटरनल पर्सन केमती लार्ज कैविटी रे. ये सब क्वेश्चन मीन्स ओपनिंग गुड़ा को नोस्ट्रिल कहा जाए. देन जो olfactory receptor, internal portion of the nose रे जो large cavity रे olfactory receptors are present which is for detection of the smell. ये क्वेश्चन भी आसी पारे. और pharynx रो 13 centimeter long pharynx, it is extended from the base of the skull to 6 cervical vertebra, or 3 parts. It is divided into 3 parts: nasopharynx, oropharynx, laryngopharynx. और larynx को जो voice box मध्य कहा जाए, also called voice box. Different 9 cartilage are present: thyroid cartilage, epiglottis, cricoid, arytenoid. thyroid cartilage को आदाम्स आपेल मध्य कहा जाए. तेणु ये सब क्वेश्चन आसे शॉर्ट क्वेश्चन रे. इपिग्लोटिस क्या कहा जाए, आदाम्स आपेल क्या कहा जाए, हाउ साउंड प्रोड्यूस्ड और प्रोडक्शन ऑफ साउंड कोठी प्रोड्यूस्ड हुए, केमिटी प्रोड्यूस्ड हुए. सो ए टाइप रो क्वेश्चन comes in the examination, mainly in MCQ type. Then larynx रो बा trachea रो जो length 11 centimeter length, 18 to 20 number of C-shape cartilage और cartilaginous rings are present. कॉप reflex ପାଇଁ help करे. केमती bronchi bronchioles branches टाको बा lungs टाको को lungs टाको छोटो को lungs टा बड़ो. The 10% smaller size than the right lungs. काहे की smaller ना, due to presence of the heart in the left side. Pleural cavity covering गुड़ा को बा pleural membrane कहा को कहा जाए, visceral pleura कहा को कहा जाए, parietal pleura कहा को कहा जाए. ये सब क्वेश्चन आसे. मे बी diameter गुड़ा को आसी पारे. trachea, bronchi, bronchioles, diameter or number. Then कहा को कहा जाए fissure, crack of the mucous membrane ताको fissure कहा जाए. बा lobes कहा को कहा जाए. then केतेटा लोब अच्छी, superior, middle, inferior, middle and inferior left side रे. then alveoli, gaseous exchange process को alveoli. then mechanism of respiration रू को muscle involve थाए respiration, inspiration रे आउ expiration रे, intercostal muscle and diaphragm केते बेले कोटा रिलैक्स हुए, कोटा कॉन्ट्रैक्ट हुए. ये सब क्वेश्चन गुड़ा आसे. देन वॉल्यूम एंड कैपेसिटी ये तो क्वेश्चन प्रत्येक वर्ष आसे लाइक टाइडल वॉल्यूम इंस्पिरेटरी रिजर्व वॉल्यूम एक्सपिरेटरी रिजर्व वॉल्यूम क्या माने नॉर्मल ब्रीदिंग रे जो एयर टा आम नहीं था टाइडल वॉल्यूम इंस्पिरेटरी रिजर्व वॉल्यूम एक्सपिरेटरी रिजर्व वॉल्यूम तार वैल्यू गुड़ाक कौटा 2500 कौटा 1000 ये सब तार कैपेसिटी टोटल लंग्स कैपेसिटी वाइटल कैपेसिटी एगुड़ा सब बड़े क्वेश्चन आसे तेणु आमको यही सब जो येलो मार्क मुझे क्वेश्चन गुड़ाक एगुड़ा को रिपीटेडली क्वेश्चन गुड़ाक आसे तो यही जो क्वेश्चन गुड़ाक आम डिस्कसन करवा आमर रेस्पिरेटरी एमसीक्यू रे देखो जमती फास्ट क्वेश्चन नेम द प्रोसेस ऑफ गैसियस एक्सचेंज इन द बॉडी जो प्रोसेस रे हमर गैस टा को एक्सचेंज होता है थ्रू आउट द बॉडी सेटा को कहते रेस्पिरेटरी सिस्टम तो क्वेश्चन टा बात प्रोसेस टा को रेस्पिरेशन कह जाए आ सिस्टम टा को रेस्पिरेटरी सिस्टम देखो कन्फ्यूजिंग क्वेश्चन रेस्पिरेशन भी देछि रेस्पिरेटरी सिस्टम भी देछि ता प्रोसेस टा मागी तेणु आम रेस्पिरेशन जदि कौ सिस्टम रे होता गैसियस एक्सचेंज कौ सिस्टम रे हुए देन आंसर होता डी रेस्पिरेटरी सिस्टम सेमती व्हाट आर द ऑर्गन इन्वॉल्व इन रेस्पिरेटरी सिस्टम बा एमती क्वेश्चन आसीबो नोज लैरिंग्स फेरिंग्स लंग्स ट्राकिया ब्रोंकाई ब्रोंक्यूल्स आर व्हिच सिस्टम और रेस्पिरेटरी सिस्टम इट इज ट्रू और फॉल्स ट्रू दीज आर द रेस्पिरेटरी पार्ट्स upper parts lower parts nose and pharynx then lower parts larynx trachea bronchi bronchioles alveoli this type of question comes then suppose in which part the respiratory system gaseous exchange takes place gaseous exchange कोठी होता है ना alveoli रे होता है this is located between the two pleural sac ट्यूब दीटा प्लूराल जो सेक अच्छी ता भितरे कौन अच्छी माने थोरासिक कैविटी रो मिडिल पोर्शन टा जदि आमे कहिबा दीटा लंग्स रो मिडिल पोर्शन भी आमे ताकू कहि परिबा मीडिया स्टीनम इज लोकेटेड बिटवीन द टू प्लूरल सेक और सेंट्रल कंपार्टमेंट ऑफ द थोरासिक कैविटी ताकू कहता है मीडिया स्टेनम देन टिनी सेक ऑफ द एयर टिनी एयर सेक और टिनी सेक एयर प्रेजेंट इन द ह्यूमन लंग्स इज कॉल्ड कौन alveoli कहितो जोटी गैसियस एक्सचेंज होता है व्हिच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग फंक्शन बाय फिल्टरिंग एंड कीपिंग द म्यूकस एंड दैट अवे फ्रॉम द लंग्स को धूली रु जो डस्ट पार्टिकल रु हमको किए रक्षा करी था ना cilia गुड़ा cilia the away from the mucus and dirt. Then total number of alveoli present in the human lungs, it is approximately 500 million. The exchange of gases between external environment and the lungs is called external respiration. So which of these statement is true about internal respiration? Utako the exchange between the blood stream and tissue. माने दी प्रकार एक्सटर्नल रेस्पिरेशन इंटरनल रेस्पिरेशन एक्सटर्नल रेस्पिरेशन टा हमरो लंग्स आउ एनवायरनमेंट माने बाहर जो ऑक्सीजन बा एयर भीतर को जाउची जो अल्वियोली सहित गैसियस एक्सचेंज होची ताको एक्सटर्नल रेस्पिरेशन आउ ब्लड वेसल रे हीमोग्लोबिन रे जो एयर टा जाय की सेल टिश्यू गुडा को पहुंचुची तेणु ब्लड कैपिलरी सहित बा ब्लड स्ट्रीम सहित सेल टिश्यू रो जो एक्सचेंज होती ताको हमें कहबा internal respiration. One is external respiration, another one internal respiration. Then comes to the windpipe. Windpipe is also called trachea. Then the maximum volume of air contained in the lungs by full forced inhalation, जोटा में total lungs capacity मध्य कोई थाउ जति की total माने नहीं परिबा air maximum volume रो air contained in the lungs. Then expiration involved जोटा को मसल इन एक्सपायरेशन रे इन्वॉल्व थाए वन इज डायफ्राम अनदर वन इंटरकोस्टल मसल आइदर इंस्पिरेशन और एक्सपायरेशन रे दीटा मसल ही इन्वॉल्व थाए सो ड्यूरिंग द इंस्पिरेशन एयर पासेस इनटू द लंग्स ड्यू टू इंक्रीज द वॉल्यूम ऑफ थोरासिक कैविटी कौन हुए ना जतबेले इंस्पिरेशन आमे एयर टा भीतर को केमिति एंटर हबो ना जतबेले थोरासिक कैविटी टा एक्सपांड करियो इंक्रीज द वॉल्यूम ऑटोमेटिकली द इंटरनल प्रेशर विल fall, the lungs pressure going down. As a result, immediately बाहर प्रेशर टा जेहेतु अधिक था immediately air enter into your thoracic cavity or lungs. Tenu, the increase in the volume of thoracic cavity and fall the lungs pressure. As a result, the air passes into the lungs. Oxygen and carbon dioxide concentration in the alveolar air. Kete na 13% oxygen और 5% carbon dioxide थाए जो एयर ता हमें नहीं था alveoli. तो if the concentration of the carbon dioxide in the blood increase, the breathing cell increase. यदि ब्लड रे ऑक्सीजन रो परिमाण कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड रो परिमाणटा बढ़ी जीवो हमर ब्रीदिंग रो नंबरटा मध्य बढ़ी जीवो माने स्पीड जो gaseous exchange होबो. Respiration mechanism is controlled by our central nervous system. Which of the following prevents collapsing of trachea? Cartilaginous rings are present. Trachea re cartilaginous rings are present. C-shaped cartilaginous ring, 18 to 22 number of C-shaped cartilaginous rings are present. The covering of the lungs is called pleura. Asthma is caused by spasm in the bronchial muscle. In human being, the number of lobe, को lobe रे केते right lungs रे केतेटा lobe अछि, left lungs रे केतेटा, तीनिटा right lungs रे, left lungs रे दीटा. Lungs have the larger number of narrow tube called bronchioles. So this is the overall idea about your respiratory questions. MCQ. Another question, like carbon dioxide cannot be transported with hemoglobin. That is false. Carbon dioxide transported with hemoglobin. Hem part carry oxygen, globin part, protein part carry carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide carry or transported through hemoglobin. After deep inspiration, maximum expiration of the lungs is called vital capacity. Vital capacity definition is the amount of air a person can expel from the lungs. Then pulmonary ventilation movement are due to costal muscle and diaphragm. Both the two muscles are involved for expiration and inspiration or pulmonary ventilation. Then partial pressure of oxygen in the lungs is 100 mmHg. Vital capacity of the lungs is tidal volume plus inspiratory reserve volume and expiratory reserve volume. Amount of carbon dioxide in expired air is 3.6%. The dead space air in men is 150 ml. Dead space is the volume of air that is inhaled that does not take part in gaseous exchange. So ताकू हमें dead space बोली कही थाउ. It remains in the conducting air. That means larynx, trachea, ये जो wind pipe रे जो air टा रही जाए. Dead space air. The volume of air that is inhaled does not take part in the gaseous exchange process. That is approximately 150 ml. Total lungs capacity approximately 5 to 6,000 ml. Then the epithelial tissue present in the inner lining wall of the bronchioles or fallopian tubules, that is ciliated epithelium. Cilia are present, the inner lining wall of the windpipe. The site of the respiration inside the lungs, that is lungs are alveoli, where the tiny sac or gaseous exchange takes place. The function of trachea, that is filter air. The trachea leads to bronchi. Hyaline cartilage has the primary function support the trachea. Which of the following does not belong to the conducting portion of the respiratory system? That is alveoli, nose, pharynx, bronchi. These are the conducting, contraction or relaxation, expand. But in the alveoli or bronchioles, that is not comes under the conducting zone, that is respiratory zone. The structure which closes to the larynx is called epiglottis. The air can enter into the body and travel to the lungs through the mouth and nose. What is the respiratory system? It is the body breathing system. Then what is the purpose of little hair inside the nose? To keep dust out of the lungs. What happened to the windpipe trachea before it reaches to the lungs? It branches into two directions. माने trachea टा branches इची left primary bronchus, right primary bronchus. Then what is the important activity takes place in the lungs? Oxygen is exchanged for, or oxygen and carbon dioxide are exchanged. Oxygen moves from the lungs into the bloodstream through small blood vessel to the lungs. Which organ is made up of air carrying tube and tiny sac? The lungs. Then what body structure protect the lungs from outside harm? Rib cage. Rib cage lungs को protect करता है. Then respiratory center is located in the medulla oblongata. Bronchi branch into the tube smaller diameter, less than 1 mm, known as bronchioles. जो diameter रो कहती diameter रो bronchioles रो diameter 1 mm. केमती trachea रो केते alveoli रो केते sorry bronchioles रो केते सबु देइची diameter टा को note रे ते देखि देइथिबो. Then what is the instrument that measure the amount of air inhaled and exhaled with each breath? That is called Spirometer. माने with the help of this spirometer हमें lungs capacity टाकू बा केते air inhaled करचु केते exhaled करचु हमें मापी थाउ. Then which of the following statement is incorrect regarding pharynx? Pharynx is composed of smooth muscle. It is incorrect. Either it is comes under upper respiratory tracts connected to the lungs, or with the which also help to production of speech or sound. Then emphysema or chronic disorder is high in cigarette smoking. In such cases, alveoli wall are found damaged, or asthma is due to bronchioles constrict due to muscle spasm, or amount of air in the lungs that remains after deep breathing, that is called residual volume. The amount of air a person takes during normal restful breathing is called tidal volume. What protects the moist membrane of the respiratory tract? That is mucus and cilia. Then bulk of carbon dioxide released from the body tissue into the blood present, that is biocarbonate in blood and RBC. Then the kind of tissue that forms and supportive structure in our pinna is also found in tip of the nose. Then which is not the statement correct? They are lined with stratified squamous epithelium. In case of primary bronchus, the trachea split into the primary bronchus. Primary bronchi supply the air to the right and left lungs, or primary bronchi support the cartilage. Primary bronchi is plate-like shape. But the incorrect is lined with stratified squamous epithelium. The respiratory membrane through which gas must diffuse consists of the following except lymphatic vessel basement membrane. Then the opening of the trachea is covered by a small flap of the tissue termed as epiglottis. The exchange of gases between the inhaled air and blood referred to external respiration. Total lungs capacity, the maximum volume of air contained in the lungs in a full forced inhalation. Forced inhalation, not normal inhalation. Fully forced inhalation. The aerobic respiration pathway is also termed as amphibic pathway. The maximum volume of air that can be released due to vital capacity. Then the trachea divided into two smaller tubes called tracheata, left primary bronchus, right primary bronchus. The inner surface of the bronchi, it is made up of ciliated epithelium. Which of the following is not correct? It is usually posterior of the muscular esophagus. It is not correct regarding trachea. Then who the following statement is not correct? Tuberculosis cannot be treated by antibiotic. Then your body cannot breathe without this system. That means without respiratory system. Then the respiratory system is made up of trachea, lungs and diaphragm. Can you breathe air? You bring oxygen into your lungs and blow out carbon dioxide. When you inhale, your lungs inflate. Then what is the name of the tiny sac? Alveoli. This is the good for lungs. Smoking is not good for your lungs, but exercise, singing, yelling is required. The trachea is also called windpipe. Then the tiny hair that keeps mucus and dirt free from your lungs, that is cilia. The voice box is also called larynx. Then when you breathe, this contract or flatten, that is diaphragm. Air does not enter into your lungs through esophagus. How many lungs do you have? 2. What are bronchial tube? Bronchial tube are air passage inside your lungs. What muscle allow you to breathe in or out? The muscle that allow you to breathe in and out is diaphragm, which cannot be stored in the body. Oxygen cannot be stored in the body. A type of question भी आसी पारे. The condition in which the oxygen supply to the respiratory system is cut off, that is asphyxia. जो हमें condition टाकू कहूचु, जो condition रे lungs को बा respiratory system को oxygen supply टा बंद हो जाए. और the membrane involving the lungs, जे की cover करके रखता है lungs को, ताकू Pleura कहा जाए. The part of the tidal volume that effectively takes part in the gaseous exchange in the lungs, that is alveolar air. Sum total of the tidal volume, inspiratory reserve volume, expiratory reserve volume को vital capacity कहा जाए. The muscular sheet of the tissue extending across the body cavity between the thorax and abdomen, जोटा कि lower abdomen और upper thoracic cavity को separate करी थाए, ताकू diaphragm. Fill in the blanks. Dash of the lungs is the volume of the air that can be taken in the expelled or maximum inspiration and expiration, that is vital capacity. The respiratory center is located in the medulla oblongata. Nasal passage is lined by ciliated epithelium. Exchange of air takes place between the capillary and alveoli. Respiration is the biochemical process. It is a biochemical process where the gaseous are exchanged. Or a type of the true or false. The alveolar surface in the adult man is 100 meter square. 100 meter square, like tennis court. True. But oxygen combines with the globin part of the hemoglobin, that is false. Oxygen combined with heme part of the hemoglobin, and carbon dioxide combined with globin part of the hemoglobin. Then cartilaginous ring around the trachea prevents its collapse, that is true. जे कि contraction और relaxation को बा collapse न हेबा पाई cartilaginous ring गुड़ा को help करी थाए. Tidal volume is the volume of air breathed in and out in the maximum effort, that is fall. This is the minimum in normal breathing जो air टा exchange होता है in and out होता है, ताकू हमें कोई बा tidal volume. Residual volume is the volume of the air left out from the lungs, that is true. So these are the true and false question. Or what is the function of ribs? Function of ribs काकू कहा जाए, protection of the bony cage or the thoracic cavity, organ of the thoracic cavity. Diaphragm the separate करी थाए thorax and abdomen को. Epiglottis the muscular flap which guard the opening of the windpipe. जेतले खाद्य जीव एयर टा को क्लोज करिवो, जेतले एयर जीव खाद्य को क्लोज करी थाए, तेणु दिस द epiglottis or muscular flap. Then vocal cord का कहा जाए, air expelled between the vocal cord vibrate them or producing sound. Ciliated epithelium the inner lining wall of the respiratory tract. So these are the question comes from the respiratory part. So the oxygen percentage 20 approximately 20.14% in inspired air or expired air जोटा हमें छाड़ी दूचे सेठी 16%, कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड 0.3% जेतले छाडुचे 4%, नाइट्रोजन 79.03 और एक्सपेल्ड एयर रे 79.7, water vapor very low in inspired air but high in expired air. So the concentration of the oxygen and carbon dioxide in inspired and expired air. So this is all about your MCQ type question or fill in the blanks or short note type question we have discussed in the respiratory chapter. Hope you understand all this question. Thank you for watching this video.